I think we're just going to start with just a short introduction. I've known Stephane and Francois just a little bit, more or less by email, and have done a couple of blogs on them, and very impressed with their customer service and their product. And I know James, who is on with us today on Zoom, has been using their TurboMed braces. And it's interesting, when I first met them, you know, I talked about the brace, and they told me that this Facebook group had grown out of people who just love TurboMed. The members and the clients created this Facebook group for TurboMed, and very impressed with everything that they've done. So Francois Cote and Stephane Savard, I'll give you the room and you can start your presentation. I wanted to know a little bit about you, why Francois has foot drop. You don't have to tell the whole story, just a small story. And then who you help. And I know Stephane yesterday when we were speaking said, I love my job. I love what I do because I'm helping people every single day. And I think that's their motto. They're helping people every single day and they love what they do. And who can ask for anything more, right? Competent too. So go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. Really excited to have the opportunity to meet you all and having the opportunity to present not only the brace that we invented and created, but also, you know, have the opportunity to tell our story, how we started, how we met, and how we started that to make that great product. Also, we've been with the CMTA for more than 2 years now. That's been great. I mean, we've met amazing people, and we're really proud to be part of the CMTA. So as you can tell already, with my big French accent, we're from Quebec City. Quebec City, by the way, 25% of the population here in Canada is French. Quebec City is a really beautiful small town with the old city, the castle. There's also a fortress. The whole town is really, really beautiful. We have a lot of tourism every year on normal time. And we get a lot of snow also. On an average winter, we get 10 feet of snow. And in 2008, we got 19 feet of snow. And well, if snow can be a problem when you go to work, well, snow can be also very beautiful. So I'm on the right. I'm the guy with the yellow coat. I'm an orthotist. I've been in the O&P field forever, for more than 30 years now. I was born and raised in the family business. My dad started an orthotics and prosthetic company in '72. And I bought the company like at the beginning of 2001, 2002. And I sold my company like 7 years ago, just when Francois and I, after we had been working on something new for 5 years, we just started to sell our first demo, our first prototypes. So it was a perfect timing for me selling my company and starting something else with Francois. So I'll let Francois introduce himself, because he's the big star.
No, no story. Yeah, me, I don't have, I work in the orthotics only since I worked from TurboMed. I used to be a not ship designer, but working in an engineering department in a shipbuilding. So first I had nothing to do with the orthotics, but what brings me to the orthotics? First, it was as a user because I had an accident. Snowmobile.
I'm trying to figure this out, and my thing was not muted. I can't talk.
Can you mute?
Sorry.
Okay.
Is it okay? Do you hear me?
Sorry, guys. Go ahead, please.
Okay, great. Okay, so the thing that bring me to the orthotics as a user was a snowmobile accident that I had in 2001. So it's almost 20 years ago. Yeah, so I broke my legs, you know, I had a huge accident. I had like 2-3 years of physical therapy to be able to walk and start making sport again. So I was back in business a little bit in 2003, around 2003. So at that time, after a long rehab, I decided I wanted to run a marathon. A crazy idea for a guy that had his legs broken and the knees bent on the sideways. But I had a foot drop at that time, and my first marathon, I run it with a brace inside the shoe, a conventional brace. And this first race, you know, I was really focused on the finish line, and I forgot to think about the foot, you know, the foot and the brace in the shoe. Anyway, I had no sensation on the side of the leg anyway, so when I removed my shoe after the race, I had a big blister and almost the skin out off my heel, you know, because the rubbing with the brace. So it made me realize at that time that I needed to have a solution for me, because I wanted to continue to be active and running and things like this. So I start modifying the braces in my garage. You know, I'm still a handy guy. You know, I like to work things in my garage, but I had some engineering skills. So I start melting plastic, screw this in the shoe and outside the shoe, and make prototypes. And that's where I start working with Stephane. I was his customer. So, and the prototype that I made at that time, he wasn't a bit intrigued by this, you know. So that's how we start TurboMed.
So every time we go to a show, Francois wears shorts like you're wearing right now, even though it's winter here. He wears shorts and wears his brace for sure. And most of the people, they think he wears an AFO just for fun, you know, just for the show. So he takes his AFO off and on all the time.
Yeah. So so I'll just show you how I walk without the brace. You know, I'm lucky on one side because I have only one foot drop. I know the guys, most people with Charcot-Marie-Tooth, with CMT, you have bilateral foot drop, but for me, I have only one. So with the TurboMed, the cool thing is that it's outside, and so you don't have any piece of plastic in the shoe. You don't have any sole, you know, hard surface to walk on in the shoe. And the best thing also is the flexibility, because you can really move, you know, normally and have a fluid gait instead of being locked at 90 degrees. You know, that's the
This is a great show. I love it. Good job.
Yeah. And so the calf works normally. If you still have some calf function, you're not, you know, you're not like in a very rigid brace. I have a brace like this in the past, you know, but at the end it was making atrophy on my muscles, and it was locking all the other motion of the foot. So it's a bit nonsense to lock everything just to raise the toe up, you know. So that's the idea behind the TurboMed.
Okay, thanks, Francois. Today, the extern from TurboMed is sold in more than 25 different countries. After only 5 years, so we sell in Spain, in Italy, in Sweden, in France, in Japan, Taiwan, and so on. Just a few words about foot drop, because funny thing is that when Francois had this foot drop in 2001, he thought he was the only one in Quebec City with a foot drop. Okay, but foot drop is very common. 1 person out of 300 has a foot drop. Okay, so it is very common. Every day or every, you know, obviously I have an eye for that, but I see someone with a foot drop wearing or not wearing an AFO like every second day. So, and there's different type of foot drop. There's the rigid ones, there's the spastic ones, you got the flaccid one like Francois, you got some with deformities, some with sensitivity, some have no sensitivity. So you got all kinds of different foot drop. And the causes, there's multiple causes. It can be neurological, it can be after a surgery, so a hip surgery or a knee replacement. Sometimes they touch the nerve, they make us, you know, they don't do that on purpose, obviously, but they touch the nerve and they do a great job, but the patient wakes up and the patient has a foot drop. It's associated with many diseases. CMT is one of them, but there's many of them. Yes, Guillain-Barré, multiple sclerosis, and so on and so on. So about 150 years ago, we got the first orthotics for foot drop, different than just a rope, inside your pants attached to your waist. So we got the first metal AFOs. They were great. Finally, there was something for foot drop, but they were heavy, bulky, attached to the shoe all the time. So there was all kind of problem. And then plastic changed it, basically everything. About 40, 45 years ago, 50 years ago, when plastic came to the market, it changed the entire O&P field. Finally, for foot drop, we had an AFO that could go from shoe to shoe, that was really light, and in different shapes, and also off the shelf. So meaning that it's already made. So and you only pick one size, so it comes in different sizes, left and right. And then about 25 years ago, carbon fiber came to the market. Carbon fiber changed a lot of things. What's great about carbon fiber is that it's light. You can make amazing designs. You can make most of the carbon fiber AFOs are. When I say AFO, by the way, it's for ankle foot orthotics. So most of the carbon fiber AFOs are off the shelf, so already made. So then there's all kind of out there. There's easily over 100 different carbon fiber AFOs out there, but there's not one. Okay, and same for TurboMed. It's impossible to have one AFO that will fit all the patients with foot drop out there. It's impossible. I mean, you can make an AFO that will fit maybe 5%, 10%, up to 80% of the population with foot drop, but you won't get to 100. Okay, because like I said previously, there's too many different types of foot drop. Today in USA, there's 1.2 million people with foot drop. Okay, that's a lot of people with foot drop. 500,000 AFOs for foot drop are made every year or sold every year in the United States only. Out of those 500,000 AFOs, roughly 40 to 45%, that's roughly 240, 250,000 units, okay, AFOs are carbon fiber AFOs of the shelf. Okay, so the carbon fiber really took the market, and especially the ones of the shelf. But they come with a lot of problems, and this is also true with the plastic ones. But since the carbon fibers are very popular, we'll talk more about carbon fibers. Well, they have a lot of problems. They crack and break, and sometimes after a few hours, you can break your brace. Sometimes it can take 4 or 5 months, but they get cracked a lot. Some braces, some AFOs of carbon fiber will have a breaking rate of 20–25%. Okay, because it's inside the shoe, they cause all kind of blisters, wounds, and skin breakdown. Carbon fiber is a great material, but it's very hard to modify. So you cannot heat up the carbon fiber and modify the brace. So when it's done, it's done. Okay. They keep the foot at 90 degrees, and they do not really allow, unless it's articulated, of course, but they do not really allow plantar flexion, which is a problem when you walk. They're really difficult to fit inside boots. In sandals, well, not too bad, but in boots, like walking boots, trekking boots, winter boots, they're really tough to fit inside. They have numerous limitations. Usually when you buy a carbon fiber AFO, they'll say to you, well, you cannot squat, you cannot bend sideways, you cannot climb upstairs very easy, you cannot do this and do that. And there's also a weight limit. Usually it's 250 pounds for each brace. And another big problem is that you need bigger shoes. There's a limited warranty of usually 6 months. And for the orthotists or the professionals, they need different sizes. They need also different models to be able to fit as many patients as possible. So Francois, for at least 5 years after his accident, okay, he tried different kind of AFOs, and he experienced all those problems. Okay, so having to wear bigger shoes, not being able to wear boots in the winter, not being able to run, having problem to squat or bend sideways. So he experienced all those problems. So together we've made over 26 different prototypes before we started selling the extern. The extern that you see on the picture is the 5th generation. So we changed the mold 5 times in the past 8 years. So this one we've been selling since last December, so it will be a year at the end of this month. It's slicker look, it's lighter than the previous version. It's got more energy return, so it brings up the foot, back up faster. It's easier to assemble, faster to assemble, and so on and so on. So it's really a great brace and a great, we've done great innovations on that one. CMT and the extern. One of the reasons why, well, first of all, the extern will not work for all patients with CMT. Unfortunately, it will not work for all of the people with CMT. But at the early stage of the CMT, some patients will like it. Okay, one of the reasons is because it's outside of the shoe. Okay, so it's total comfort. But as you guys know, CMT will cause eye arch, will also cause claw toes. So those problems, those two things will cause all kinds of problems with shoe fitting. So imagine if you have to put an AFO inside, it's even worse. So that's one of the great things about TurboMed, the extern being outside. So it's easier for you guys to wear this brace. Because it's fully dynamic and it moves in all directions, it reduces the muscle atrophy. So you can walk easier and faster because it moves in all directions. Francois will show you. No, okay.
Non, je peux le faire. Non, quand tu souhaites.
Okay. Okay. So we create also a more natural gait when you walk. So what is the extern? So the extern is a foot drop AFO. Okay, for people with foot drop, it is used. Some people will use it for other things, but it's 99.9% used for if you have a foot drop. It's 100% outside of the shoe, so there's no skin contact whatsoever. If the patient is feeling something below the ankle, okay, around the ankle, on both sides of the foot, or on top of the toes, there's a problem with the brace. There's a problem with the weights attached to the shoe. Maybe the brace should be wider. The lace clip is not properly installed because they're not supposed to feel anything. It's made of 5 different plastic parts. The material is plastic. It's not carbon fiber because it's more resistant. It's more flexible. Okay, Francois will show you how flexible the extern is. The weight is similar to a carbon fiber, so it's very lightweight. It's between 10 and 12 ounces, depending on the size. There's no weight limit on the extern because there's no weight on the extern. When you put weight on a foot plate of an AFO, if you put all your weight on the foot plate, well, the foot plate here with the extern is the shoe. So there's no weight on the extern. So it makes no difference if you're 100 pounds or 500 pounds, okay? The shoe attachment will show you how we attach the extern to all the shoes. It's very simple. We created what we call a lace kit. And once the lace kit is installed, you go from shoe to shoe in 5 seconds. There is no limitation that we've known so far. So we've been selling for 5 years. Last year we sold roughly 10,000 extern, and there's not even one customer that called us or sent us an email saying, hey, I cannot go in the water, or I cannot do this sport or this activity. You know, there's no limitation that we know so far. And when we're talking about the resistance, well, Francois will show you how resistant our product is.
Yeah, it's resistant because it's flexible. So it's like a bridge and the buildings, you know, they are not stiff. When the winds push on the structure, it has to move. So the energy needs to be released. So that's the same thing with the TurboMed, that it's built like a spring, but you have, when there's energy on it, you need to release the energy. But you see, the plastic has an amazing memory to lift the foot and let you move as you want, you know? It's not restrictive. Like these rigid brace here, for example, if I try to bend it, so when you walk, you need to move. You need to, your leg has to obey some movement of your weight and from the uneven ground. But that's the problem with this. So it causes blisters, but it also doesn't let you have the sensation of what happens under your feet.
So, like Francois just explained, it's all about the design and the plastic that we use. There's no spring, there's no metal parts. It's all about plastic and design. This is how it's attached to the shoe. Every extern comes with 5 lace kits. The lace kits are attached to the shoes. That even if they have no eyelets, holes can be made in the shoe. We'll show you later how we do it. And so you get 5 lace kits for 5 different pair of shoes, and you can buy more lace kits. Of course, they're not expensive, but it's just to show you how it's attached. And at the rear, it's only friction. So there's a U section that sits on the heel of the shoe, and it's only friction. So the extern fits a lot of shoes. If you compare with the regular AFOs out there, they fit just a few shoes. Sometimes you need to have not only a bigger shoe, but an orthopedic shoe. That's not the case with our extern. The extern, well, first you're going to go back to your normal shoe size. So if you were a 10 and you used to wear a 12 because of your inside AFO, you go back to a size 10. And then you go from shoe to shoe in 5 seconds. So you can see the extern on sandals, on fancy shoes, even shoes with no eyelets. We've done complicated boots, even on skate, cowboy boots. We've done I think, 6 or 7 cowboy boots. The shoes, sometimes they need to be modified a little bit, but here is a picture that was posted on Facebook from a lady. She did that herself. We've never installed that for her. She did that herself. Just want to talk a little bit about the demo kit that we have. In fact, with my experience, for me, it's very easy to know if a patient will benefit from the TurboMed. The problem is that sometimes with CMT, it's a little bit more difficult. And sometimes the orthotist or the professional, well, doesn't have the experience to see very quickly if the extern will work or not. So we have what we call a demo kit. Okay, it's basically an extern, same design, a little bit bulkier, but everything is adjustable. So you can be fitted in less than 15 minutes, and you know if it's working or not. And this is done for free. So all you have to do is contact your O&P clinic, the people that you do business with, and they'll get the assessment tool and they'll be able to fit you. And for at least, I would say 13, 14 months, we are now what we call PBAC approved. So we have a code in the US, it's called an L code. It's 1951, so it's now covered by Medicare, Medicaid, most insurance companies, and so on and so on. We have, like I mentioned earlier, we have customers around the world wearing our brace, and some of them are pushing the extern to extreme limits. Marty from Australia, I mean, he does like 720 degrees in less than 3 seconds. So he's putting a lot of stress on the extern. Deanne from New Zealand, she travels all the time. She's a professional climber, and she treks also a lot in all kinds of conditions. So, and she's putting the brace to its limits. Lucy, like I said, there's no limit to what you can do. Jim is wearing a TurboMed to play football. He's a member of a college, football team in the US. So in summary, the extern will not break, and we have a warranty of 2 years. So if you break it, you get a new one. And for your information, the last version that we're selling now, our breaking rate is like 0.1, so 1/10 of 1%. With the other versions, we used to be between 2 and 5. In the O&P world, it's very low, but for us, it was too high. So this is why we modify it until we got it almost perfect. So right now, it's almost perfect as far as breaking. There's no limitation whatsoever. Okay, you can do whatever you want. There's no skin contact. The plastic can be modified. So if the foot section needs to be wider or narrower, if the calf band needs to be a little bit wider, it can be done also. So it can be modified. So it's a big thing. It allows plantar flexion, so your foot is not stuck at 90 degrees. It fits left and right. So let's say you have one for the left foot and you're not sure about the right. Well, you can take the same brace and put it on the same extern and put it on the other foot. There's no muscle atrophy. And finally, we have a demo kit that you can try to see if it's going to work before you buy the brace.
Yeah, I just see that some people chat some question in the chat box. So we will have a questioning session just after the presentation about the Velcro closer shoe and all the other footwear that may fit the TurboMed.
Yep, and we'll be here for the next 2 hours if we have to, so don't worry. At this point, I'd like to introduce you someone that I really like. I mean, James is one of our first customers. He found us on YouTube like 6 years ago. Back then, we had no Facebook, we had no website. He was obviously looking for a solution. I'll let James introduce himself. He's a great guy, I like him very much. And I want to mention to you that James is also the co-founder with Deanne Creighton from New Zealand of the Facebook page TurboMed Foot Drop Club. Today, with 3,900 members, it's the biggest foot drop page on Facebook. So it's all people like you, people like me, exchanging all kinds of information about foot drop and obviously about the TurboMed extern, asking questions, will it work, all kinds of questions. So I'll let James introduce and talk about himself. James, you're up.
Thanks everybody. Thank you, Francois, Stephane, Elizabeth, and Laurel. Thanks for having me today. I really appreciate it. Probably one of the most important things that Stephane forgot to mention about me is that I'm a fellow CMTer. So I'm one of you guys. So I have CMT bilateral foot drop. I use 2 AFOs to walk, run, and cycle. Like Stephane said, it was like about 5 or 6 years ago now I've been using the TurboMed. I was one of the first customers to use this TurboMed, and I've used AFOs for 20 plus years. And when I first found this thing on the internet, I was highly skeptical. I was just like, there's no way this thing's gonna work. This thing looks ridiculous. So me and Francois, you know, we video chatted and we argued a little bit. We went back and forth, and, you know, they made the best offer out of any other company out there. They said, we'll guarantee the brace for 60 days, money back guarantee. You know, you buy at that time, insurance didn't know about the TurboMed, so I had to pay out of pocket for the brace. So he gave me a 60-day money back guarantee and said, you buy the brace, it doesn't work for you, send it back to me and I'll refund your money 100%. I was like, okay. And he said, on top of that, I'll give you a 2-year breakage warranty. So I was like, you know, there's nothing really for me to lose except for an opportunity, you know, to try this brace out. So I took him up on the offer, and here we are today, 6 years later. I'm still using, you know, the TurboMed. It's by far the best brace that I've used in my 20 plus years of using AFOs. A lot of people like to say that I I do a lot of great things in the TurboMed. I just, you know, not to brag or anything, but so some of the things that I've been able to accomplish with the TurboMed is, you know, I'm a marathon runner. I finished 2 Boston marathons. I'm also an Ironman finisher. I placed first place at Ironman Coeur d'Alene, and third place at the Ironman World Championships here in Hawaii. I'm also the 2015 Xterra Trail Run World Champion, and list a whole bunch of other races that you could add to my resume where I podium finished. But those are pretty much the big major races that I've competed in over the last, you know, 15 or so years. I've used almost every single major brace out there, you know, from the walk-on, who's that again? Autobach. I don't even remember the names of these braces because all I know now is TurboMed. I don't even really pay attention to any of the other braces. But I think it was Autobach, it was Allard, I did some Ossers, and there's a few other brands. The common thing with all the other braces were they all followed the same design. So the design was, you know, let me take mine off. The same design was, you know, they had the foot plate that went into the shoe, and then they had the strut and the calf pad. With the TurboMed, it's totally 100% external from the shoe, and there's nothing to stand on. So for those of you who have use AFOs, notice that you have to use certain shoes, or you know, choose certain shoes to accommodate the foot plate. With the TurboMed, you don't have to do that. Another benefit of not having a foot plate is that you're allowing the shoe to do what the shoe is supposed to do. When you have a foot plate inside of your shoe, it's you know, changing the dynamic of the shoe. You're having this hard plate inside of the shoe, and it's not allowing the shoe to perform the way it's supposed to perform. In addition, you're not standing on this hard piece of plastic or hard piece of carbon fiber all day long, and you're not walking on it. So it's very comfortable. I've yet to break one of these braces as well. 6 years, you know, I've prototyped a few braces with Francois and Stephane. So, you know, I've tried out, you know, from the very, very first model to the most latest extern, and I'm sure if, you know, if I'm lucky, I'm going to get to continue testing braces out for them. But I still haven't broken a brace as of yet. As far as all the other carbon fiber braces, I've broken every single one, sometimes multiple times per year. And as you guys know, you know, insurance only covers, you know, 1 or 2 braces per year if you break them. And, you know, with these, I'm not breaking any, so that's another benefit. What else would you guys like to know about the TurboMed?
Well, we've had some questions.
A lot of questions coming in.
Yeah. Do we want to go to that Q&A and then?
Yeah, let's start asking some of the questions, because there's quite a few and very good questions too.
Absolutely. So one of the questions that came in, and maybe I should go back to gallery view and Stephane.
Okay. That way James can answer, or
yeah,
Stephane,
whoever makes the most sense. So one of the questions, and it may have been answered, is can you wear the TurboMeds with tall women's dress boots and snow boots?
Oh, yeah. No problem. Here are my, do you want to, do we take this camera for to show, or? Yeah, we can. It will fit pretty much, you know, any boots, because the issue I had, you know, when I started the design of TurboMed, I wanted to run. I wanted something flexible that don't rip the skin off my foot. But also here, we live in a country where we have a lot of snow. So we wear boots like 6 months per year almost. So the TurboMed will fit, you know, will fit almost any boots, you know, hiking boots, winter boots, little trekking boots like this. You know, because it's outside, there's no limit. You need a fixation point for the lace clip. Basically, the lace clip, we attach it with just zip ties, tie wraps in the eyelet or any point you have on the top of the forefoot, and then you're ready to go. So that's, you know, that's my brace, and I just clip it to the boots like this.
Somebody asked about downhill ski boots.
I don't think it's required, you know, because a ski boot, you know, for downhill, it's so stiff that it's a brace itself. I don't think you have too much improvement to fit the brace on boots.
Yeah, it kind of locks you in that dorsiflex. So along that same line, Francois, someone's asking, can the brace become dislodged? So is it very, very strongly attached, or does it easily become dislodged if you're trekking a lot of miles, or?
No, it's in fact, you know, it's solidly anchored with the lace clip. When you hook the brace, at the front first, okay, and then at the back. But when you walk and you load the brace, the brace wants to go deep and deeper in the lace clip. So we don't have any lock. So if I lift the brace like this, I just put it forward and it's unclipping. The only time you may have a brace that will unclip the front because it's not locked, let's say you have a pair of shoes that the eyelet is so high here and you decide to install the clip and you have a big gap at the back. If you kick it accidentally, it will give the room to pop off the clip. But, you know, it never happens to me. No, it's not an issue because when you don't have the lace clip at the good place exactly, you may find another way to fix it at the place that it needs to be to have the perfect lift.
Okay, that's great. The next question, gentlemen, is do these prevent the muscle atrophy that can happen with other braces?
Yeah, exactly. I think James can talk to us a little bit about that. But because it's moving, you know, the calf can work more normally. But I think, James, did you measure your calf, you know, when you start with the TurboMed? And I think it was pretty amazing that it stopped the atrophy and he even gets some benefit in his muscle after stop using the rigid carbon, eh?
Yeah, so when I use the rigid carbon AFO, you know, you're locked into this position, you know, the foot plate and the strut on the back of the AFO. So your foot never, you know, plantar or dorsiflex, really. It's always in this, you know, 90-degree angle. With the TurboMed, you know, you're having this full roll when you're walking. It's the closest thing to a natural gait that you'll get while wearing an AFO. So when you're having that natural gait, you're engaging those muscles continually when you're walking or anytime you're moving. When you're walking with a regular AFO, I mean, you're typically walking like this, you know, as most of you guys know, because you know, a lot of you have probably used the regular traditional AFOs. So with the TurboMed, I was able to, you know, rebuild my muscle or strengthen my muscles. My run times were improved after putting on the TurboMed. So I did gain a little bit of strength in my legs, and
Great.
you know, that's what same thing what my doctors said. They're pretty amazed that, you know, I go for my yearly checkups. They're like, oh wow, that's, you know, you got in a little stronger. So
Good.
So are these braces good for everyone with CMT, or are there limitations for people with CMT? I mean, how would you gauge that, Francois and Stephane?
Yeah, from what I know, because I used to speak and with a lot of customers when we start the company with a lot of customers with CMT. From what I can tell is at the early stage through middle stage, it's perfectly suitable. So as long as you have some strength in your legs, but at some point, if you're with a walker and you really need, you know, a rigid support, you know, you have weakness in all your limbs. At some point, you need some rigid braces, you know, to keep your balance. Okay, but for early stage and middle stage, I think it's perfectly suitable, and you have benefit not to losing more muscles because you locked everything in place. Okay. And for those who has, you know, the calf with a lot of atrophy and it's irreversible, so it won't come back. we have a way also to make the brace stiffer because the TurboMed is very flexible. So at some point when you begin with, or if you have a lot of atrophy, some of them, it's not the same thing with every patient with CMT and atrophy, but at some point they like to have a more rigid brace. So we have an option to make the brace even stiffer. So we call that the extension stopper. It's like a rubber wedge that we install on the brace, and it makes the brace a lot stiffer. So it will prevent the foot slap, and it will give more support, even more support. It will not be as rigid as this one. It will stay dynamic and a little flexible, but it will have more force and more support.
Okay.
Yeah.
One thing to add is that go to your OMP place and ask to try the demo out. I mean, it doesn't cost anything to try the demo, and you don't know until you try. Because I was really skeptical. I was like, I don't think it worked. But after I tried it out, it worked really well.
So that's a great question, Laura. There are quite a few questions about where do you get the brace? How do you try it? Where do you get this brace?
Well, there's over 2,000 O&P clinics selling our brace in USA. So contact your orthotist, the professional that you do business with. If for any reason they don't know about TurboMed, they can call us. We have 5 major distributors, so they'll buy from our distributors in the US. They'll know them. They already do business with those guys.
It's really hard to hear you, Stephane. Can you come in louder?
Check dans ta lumière. Oh, ta lumière est allumée. Is it okay?
Yeah, Francois, I can hear you really well, but Stephane's a little far away. I don't know what's going on there, but we'll just bear with it. I'm just kidding.
This one has some issues.
So is it okay now?
Yeah, so much better.
Yeah, okay. Sorry about that. So I was saying that there's over 2,000 places selling our brace in the US. Just contact your local O&P clinic.
What's OMP? What does that mean?
Orthotics and prosthetic. Orthotics and prosthetics. So contact your orthotist that you do business with, or look up for a clinic in your area. If you don't know anyone in your area, we have a clinic locator on TurboMed USA. So if you Google TurboMed USA, on top you'll see a clinic locator, and within 48 hours, we'll give you the name of a few clinics in your area that know about TurboMed, and they know how to fit TurboMed.
Okay, great. Wonderful. And I'm just trying to dial through these questions. A couple people have asked about if they're wearing Velcro sneakers. It will work with Velcro sneakers instead of tie sneakers as well, correct?
It's no up.
Okay. I have an example here just to show you quickly. Yeah, so basically we need a shoe with eyelets, so we just put the zip tie and attach the lace clip on the front. If you don't have eyelets, okay, with Velcro closer shoe like this one, all that we do is we punch a little hole, you see here, and we create our eyelet.
Oh.
You don't destroy the shoe, because all the time, even it's a Velcro closer shoe, the area around the shoe opening here is very strong. You know, that's the place where you tie the shoe. So it's always like reinforced with leather or something. So it won't break the shoe if you just punch a little hole to put the zip tie there, and you're ready to go. Okay.
Okay, great. And what about, how does the TurboMed brace work with ankles that roll? Does it help stabilize, or do they?
No, I saw a few questions about that. That's a good question. Well, one of the good thing about the extern being outside of the shoe is that inside the shoe you can do whatever you want. So if you need a custom insole, no problem. If you need an ankle support, no problem. You need a wedge, no problem. So there's all kinds of things you can do inside the shoe, because now there's nothing inside your shoes. The other thing is that we do have an ankle strap, or a T-strap, or call it a valgus or virus strap, that can be added. The brace itself, because it's on both sides of the foot, will fix some of the rolling out of the ankle. But if the patient needs more, we have an ankle strap that can be added.
Yeah, and what I know, the foot drop comes with a natural ankle instability. I have this, you know, my ankle, I don't have CMT, but because of the foot drop, my ankle roll on the outside very fast because I don't have the muscles to retain the outside rolling. So it's a common situation with foot drop, but I know you with CMT, it's a different also because you have deformity in the arch and stuff like this. But yeah, we have the strap, but for me to control my instability, for sure, when I walk on a very flat surface on the sidewalk or on the street, I just with sneakers, you know, it's fine. But if I know that I will go on an uneven trail with round rocks and stuff like this, just wearing a little hiking boots, you know, just that go just above the ankle and you lace it tight. It gives the good stability you need. So it depends on each case, but that's the way we help improve and make the brace stiffer too, because the brace itself have a good lateral stability, but it's flexible. So it's not something like this, because that's not exactly what we want. Okay.
One thing that helped me with stabilizing my ankles are using ASO ankle straps.
Yes.
It's an ankle strap that, you know, you could sort, I guess, tweak in either direction on where the instability is. So when I trail run or you know, run on uneven surfaces, I'll use that ankle strap in conjunction with the TurboMed, and that works really well. But you know, everybody's again is different, so you know, you can get wedges, insoles, you know,
James,
there's a lot of things.
I have a couple questions for James. How is it for driving?
Driving's fine. No problems at all. I can even drive a 5-speed. So.
All right, cool. And how about biking? Like, can you use it on a bike shoe? And does it ever get caught in anything on the bike? Or
I do use it with clipless pedals on my cycling shoe. Unfortunately, I'm not at home right now. I'm at work. I could show you how I'm attached. I attach the brace to the shoe.
But you can figure it out, and it works for you.
Yeah. So I have to put pedal spacers on each of my on my crank just to extend it out a little, because the brace would actually, when I'm clipped in, it would rub against the crank arm.
Yeah, that's the thing with me too. I have two mountain bikes, so the shape of the crank on one is a little bit different from the other. So I have one that have a little slight contact, and the other one is fine. But it's on mountain bike. Most mountain bikes you won't have any contact because the pedals are wider, and you know, it's different shape than you have a road bike, eh, James? Am I right?
Triathlon bike.
Yeah.
And James, do you ever have problems? I don't know what your hands are like with CMT, but some people had questions. Is it hard to adjust, and is it hard to get on? Like people with neuropathy in their hands and muscle atrophy. How is that for you?
My hands aren't, they're getting bad, but they're not, you know, as bad as other people's hands. And I do have difficulty with fine motor skills, but putting the TurboMed on is pretty simple. I mean,
okay.
You know, you just need to bend the brace back and slip the foot in.
All right, that's great.
Someone asked if they ever catch on each other. If you wear them bilaterally, do they ever hit against each other when you're walking, James?
I never have. Never have.
Okay.
Yeah. I've run marathons in them, and I've never tripped over, you know, while running. So.
Okay. Got it.
There was a question about this is our Francois is showing the ankle strap. What's good about our ankle strap is because it's the fact that being outside and being further and more far away from the ankle than a regular inside the shoe AFO, we have more space. So it means that we have more space and more length to pull pull back the ankle. So it's working fine.
But don't worry, it's not orange, eh?
No.
It's not orange. Okay.
No, it's not orange. It's black. It's black. It's just to show.
Are there
There was
other
a-
questions, Laurel?
There was a question about, I read a question about the tie wraps that was breaking sometime. It's possible to have bigger tie wraps, and it's possible to also use 4, so 2 on each side of the lace clip instead of only 2. So there's all kind of possibilities, but you know, it's a problem that can be easily fixed.
Okay, and then a couple people have asked Stephane about, does it, you know, with the dynamic braces, some of the rocking braces, they help to propel you forward. Would you say that the TurboMed is giving you energy for propelling forward?
No, it's not a brace that will store energy from your body weight, you know, to release it like a spring, like the carbon plates and the carbon brace do, because it's a spring that more acting only on the gravitational weight, you know, of the foot. So when the foot drops, you know, it lifts the foot only. It doesn't help you propulsing yourself. It doesn't do the job of the calf, because these other braces that store energy, it's making the job of the calf muscle, because you load the brace, and when it's unloading, it push you. But that's the thing that causes calf atrophy. So at some point, that's why I said that early stage and maybe middle stage, you have more benefit of using something that will continue to use your calf, because if you use something that will make the job of the calf, then you will continue the atrophy of your calf. So that's the thing. Is it okay?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Hey,
Okay.
by the way, I saw a few questions regarding tennis. Well, playing tennis it's easy with the TurboMed. It's like walking or running. It's really, really easy. And I'd like also to mention that, you know, we're talking about tennis, about biking, about running, doing marathons and all of that. Well, we did invented the brace, the extern, so that Francois could run marathons again, could be an active man again. But after 6 months of selling TurboMed, we realized that it was working for just the regular people, you know, just like me, Laurel, and Elizabeth. So I would say that 95% of our customers, they're not athletes. They're just like regular people, and they're looking for a better solution, something that they can wear without having a blisters or skin breakdown every day or every second day. So, and I'm amazed, okay? And one of the things that amazed me is that how many customers have been wearing AFOs for 25, 30 years, and they're still looking for a solution today. And James was one of those guys, you know, looking for a solution, even though he had 25, 30 braces in his closet. He was still looking for a better solution. So I'm amazed how many persons are looking for another solution right now.
And also I noticed that you sell TurboMeds for kids. Is that right?
Yeah, we have a kid size. So we do kids starting at the age of 3, 4 years old. What's cool about the latest version, because for the kids, it's the second version that we've been selling. It grows with the patient. It grows with the kid for a couple more months. And the problem with kids is that with regular AFOs, you have to, you know, take a cast, make a brace, you know, and when you take a cast of a young kid that's 4 or 5 years old, it's not easy. Well, the TurboMed is made just on measurement, on shoe measurement, shoe sizing. So you don't need to cast or scan the leg. So it makes it very easy for the parents and for the professionals. And like I said, it's basically the same thing than the regular extern, but it's adjustable in the front and at the calf band, so it goes with the child.
Wonderful. One thing that keeps coming back up, and sorry if we've covered this already a couple times, but maybe have a solution. So there are a couple people who are interested in the braces, but with boots, but like they're UGG boots or boots that don't have holes already, and they don't want to drill a hole in them. Is it maybe just not right for them, or do you offer a solution?
Yeah, well, I know Francois's got a solution, okay? But before I let him talk, I say to those customers, you know, go shop for more shoes. Okay, go buy boots with eyelets all the way down, because now you have a brace that fits on almost any kind of shoes. So you can go and shop for shoes now. Okay, before you had to buy orthopedic shoes or very large shoes, you know, double E or triple E shoes, but not anymore. So go and get winter boots or hiking boots with a lot of eyelets. That's the first thing. Now, Francois, it's
No, but I already, you know, I had many contact with many customers asking for many, you know, type of boots. And one day it was a boots, wading boots, you know, wading boots. So it's totally watertight. There's no eyelet. There's nothing to hook the, and you definitely don't want to make holes in the wading boots because it won't be watertight anymore. But yeah, here the clip is fitted there. But what I do on the wading boots, I took a piece of vinyl, and it could be leather or anything. But what I did, I bent the strap there, and I put two little screws in the sole, in the solid material of the sole, just creating a strap so you can find any color you want. So with this strap done and you know, screwed in the solid material, you hook the clip on the top of that. So that's a garage fix that I told to the guy, and I even did that on some of my wading boots too. But anyway, that's another option you could. At the end, you know, you can do what you want. You know, there's many solutions.
Wonderful. Thank you, guys. And just so everyone knows, on the Q&A, if we did not get to your question, please go ahead and email me. I emailed all the registrants unless you registered after 12 p.m. today. But go ahead and send me any questions that weren't answered, and I'll be sure to get those answered for you.